U.S. President Barack Obama has once again called on lawmakers to reach an agreement to raise the debt ceiling.
What's clear now is that any solution to avoid default must be bipartisan. It must have the support of both parties that were sent here to represent the American people, not just one faction. There are plenty of ways out of this mess, but we are almost out of time. We need to reach a compromise by Tuesday so that our country will have the ability to pay its bills on time.
During a statement in Washington, Obama said delays on making a decision do not solve any problems. He also warned that the world's largest economy risks losing its AAA credit rating. Obama's remarks have come at the time when the U.S. may be faced with its first ever default. This if the Republicans and the Democrats fail to reach agreement by August the 2nd. Meanwhile, the Commerce Department has issued a shocking report saying the economic growth has been far more frail than expected. Well, for more on that, we're now joined by Mr. Brent Budowsky, who is a columnist with the Hill newspaper, who joins us via satellite from Washington. Mr. Budowsky, thank you very much for joining our broadcast. And, we've spoken about how it's in no party's interest for the U.S. to default. Then is all of this set to be resolved before August the 2nd?
It's going to be close. And I've been in this town for some time, and I can tell you, I have never seen a situation this bad. And I have never seen a situation where people are acting against their own political interest. The White House, the Republicans, the Senate, everyone. My column this week in the Hill newspaper was titled Washington versus America. And the people of America are as angry as people in Europe and people in the Middle East. It's a worldwide trend. The answer to your question is one way or the other. I believe they probably will reach some form of an agreement in time. But this is a level of incompetence by everybody that has the American people angry at everybody.
Right now, sir, default or not, has this current political impasse changed the way Americans regard their politicians' ability to do their jobs?
Well, Americans had a low esteem for the politicians before this. Now they have an even lower esteem. It's hurt the president, there's no question about it. It's hurt Speaker John Boehner, the Republican Speaker of the House of Representatives. They all look inept, and they all look weak, and they all look incompetent in the eyes of almost all Americans at this point. Now, this will hopefully get better as they come closer to an agreement, but it is a long, hot weekend in Washington. The temperature is over 100 degrees, and the politics are 20 degrees hotter, and they're not making progress as we speak. They're talking behind the scenes. But the people want action. They don't want the politicians blaming each other. They don't want the politicians saying they want it all. They want a solution, and a solution means compromise, and compromise means everybody has to make some concessions. And right now, the Republicans, to be honest, are refusing to make concessions, and the Democrats, to be honest, are refusing to fight hard enough to make them make concessions.
Right, looking at the larger picture here, does the current wrangling not in fact give more power to the likes of China, for example, to come in and swoop away investors looking for safer havens?
Oh, if it turns out that a week from now there is trouble, there's no agreement, there's a market crash, there's a downgrade, there's a default, the answer is yes. If it turns out that there is an agreement in the next week, the answer is no. This is a long-term problem. They're not going to solve the problem in the next few days, no matter what they do. The best is they'll make a dent to solve the problem and then go on to the next fight and the next stage of the problem. The Chinese have their issues and their problems in China, and I could go on for an hour about that. But the answer is if the United States loses its AAA rating, we are going to damage our credibility and reputation around the world, and will deserve to. However, I can tell you, I deal with a lot of high-level people in this town. Today, as we speak, the politicians are scared stiff, and hopefully that will motivate them to do what they haven't done, which is reach an agreement and solve the problem and be honest and stop pointing fingers at each other.
All right, we'll have to leave it there for now. That was Mr. Brent Budowsky, columnist with the Hill newspaper, joining us via satellite from Washington. Mr. Budowsky, as always, we appreciate your insight here at Press TV.